referring to a variable called score, and it will attempt to retrieve its value. If you haven't made that variable, then the computer will give an error.
Okay, new buttons, variables. So if you are on this screen, you're going to hit continue. Let's go to our first toolbox. Okay, so we're going to get started with using variables. Okay, Toolbox has new commands for working with variables. We have creates a variable called score, assigns a value to it, and then displays the value. Okay, so right now we have a variable or var button that says score. They've assigned the score as 0, and the console log says in quotes, so it will type this phrase out, the value of the score is, and then my console log says score. So you guys are interested in playing video games, right? Anybody in here play video games? So when we're starting our video game, our score usually starts at what? Do we start at 1,000,000 or do we start at 0? 0. So I'm going to run this just to see what's happening right now. Okay. So under my debug console, I have the value of score is, and then 0. Okay. So what we want to do here is we want to add the number of lives that we have. Okay, so our game, we're going to start out with 3 lives. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new variable by dragging out the var block. Okay, so our variable block, pull it out. Our variable is going to be called lives. We're going to add a console. We want to set the value to be 3 first. So let's bring this out. And remember what they said. When we put this in, which comes first, the word or what the value is? The word. Okay, so let's put lives in place of x. And the number of lives we start with is 3. Okay, so now we want to bring over our console because we want to put the message there. And our message is going to be the value of lives is, and we're going to leave that in quotation marks because we actually want those words to be printed. Our second console then we're going to bring over, we're going to assign that value. So we're going to have the computer say, it's going to refer to the number of lives. So I'm just going to type in lives without quotes. Okay, so let's reset. And run it. Okay, so down in our debug console, it says the value of score is 0. The value of lives is 3. Why do you think we want that score and the lives on different lines? Why don't I want to just put it in with the text? What do you mean?
If you have this, it on the same line, it looks messy.
Okay, so if I put this 0 up here and I run it, what's going to happen, do you think? So if, say I put it right here. And I reset and I run it, it's going to tell me the value of score is 0. Do you want your score to change? No? You want to stay at 0? Yeah, you want it to change. Yeah. So that's why we put it on a different line. How about our lives? Is that going to change? Right. But we need it to change because sometimes our lives change. So that's why those are on different lines. Okay. So if you reset it and you run it, you get the value of score is 0 below. The value of lives is 3 below. We can finish and go on to the next one. Are you with me, Cordelia? Okay. I just can't see your beautiful face. Okay, so now we want to look at what's happening in our code. We've been given a couple lines of code. What do you notice here? What's the first thing that pops out? Yeah, the triangles. What are the triangles telling us? There's probably a problem somewhere, right? So we can hover over those triangles and it will pop up and tell you what's going wrong. Or we could run it and the debug down here will tell me what's going on. So what do you notice is happening? What do you think the problem could be? So go ahead.
The console that says like the apples or whatever hasn't been like declared yet.
Okay, so I have two things that we're talking about here. I have apples get 7. I have oranges get 13. Okay, but all right, I see this red box. It said apples hasn't been declared yet. Oops, we can't figure out what apples is. It's spelled wrong, right? Okay, so if I change apples and put in another P, let's reset it and run it again. What's happening? It still won't go. Why? Yeah, they have to be exactly alike or the computer doesn't know that you're talking about the same thing. So I'm going to change this to a lowercase a. Okay, well, let's run that. Okay, now we got a problem down here with oranges. What's the problem with oranges? Yeah, we have a capital here and a lowercase here. So just to keep with everything else, I'm going to make that lowercase, reset it, and run it. Now I have 7 and 13. My apples get 7, my oranges get 13. Okay, let's go to the next one. All right, in debugging variables. Okay, so let's make sure that we are starting at the same place. Okay, now before we were looking at if we're putting in text, we have to be really careful about whether we're using parentheses or, excuse me, quotes or no quotes, depending on what we want. Well, now we have a new thing called write. So it's a simple command called write that's fast and easy way to display text in the app itself. Okay, it's similar to the way we were using console. So we're going to debug another problem only using write instead of console. Okay, so to display the value, you should not use quotes. Notice the difference between these two statements. The comments next to each line explains the difference. So if I write score in quotes, it displays the literal characters, S-C-O-R-E. If I leave off the quotes, it's going to recall what the value is. Okay, so looking at what we have here, let's see what we are starting with. So I always begin with run, tells me what I have. Okay, the value of score is score. The value of lives is lives. So how are we going to fix this? Okay, what are we going to change?
So instead of writing score, you need to write 7.
Right here?
No.
So, okay, so is this what we want? The value of score is score. What is the value of score? What do we say we're starting with?
0.
Okay, here we are starting with our value is 7. The value of lives is, we're up to 20. Okay, so we actually want the numbers here instead of score and lives. Okay, so we need to take out the quotes. For score and lives. I know it's kind of hard to see. Okay, so in line 3 and line 6,
Oh, so
those both had quotes. So let's reset it and run it again and see what we get this time. Did you get it?
yeah.
Is anybody else having any issues? No? Okay. So let's go ahead and go to the next. So you guys are already doing fantastic. Okay. So we're going to create and assign at once. So it says it's so common to want to create a variable and give it an initial value. So JavaScript has a shortcut that lets you do this. So we're having a variable score equals and then the value. Are you okay, Cordelia?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we have a new look. We're going to practice using this form. So the code we'll write will achieve the same thing as the previous level in fewer lines of code. And that's always the goal, because when we're writing code, are you okay?
Yeah, I just didn't do the last one.
Okay. So we want to debug this one. And let's see. We want to create a variable called lives and assign it the value 3 using the new one-line version of this command. So we're going to add a console log to the value of lives like we did before. So right now, we have variable score equals 0, the console log, the value of the score, and then we're pulling back score. So now we're going to do the value of lives. If we want it printed, we put it in in quotes. The parentheses will be there already. The quotes. No, you're good. Okay, so now we have the console log, the value of lives, and we need another console log that's going to tell us lives. But I also have to have a variable in here that's going to tell me, I'm going to squeeze that in between 3 and 4. What's my variable going to be? Lives. And lives gets what? 3. Okay, so let's run it and see what we get. The value of score is 0. The value of lives is 3. Okay. It should be in parentheses, but it shouldn't be in quotes. Okay, let's look at yours, Izzy. The variable lives equals 3. In line 6, Izzy, for lives, you still have quotes.
Oh, so we take out the quotes.
Take out the quotes.
And then put lives.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there we go. I fixed it.
Got it?
Yeah.
How you doing, David? Cordelia, what's happening? Are you okay?
Yeah.
Kylie, you got yours? once you finish that screen, we'll move to the next. Unless we need to wait. I'm happy to wait. I noticed that. That's why I'm asking you about the code. You know, your grade isn't going to change here until after next week. Presentations.
Do you have to presentate?
Well, it's 60% of your grade, so that's totally up to you.
I walk right up there.
I mean, it's just us. It's just us. All right, we should be on bubble 6. Come on, Cordelia, you can do it. All right. Do you know how to get there? Okay. All right. In the block-based mode of programming, it's useful for getting code into your app faster and error-free, but sometimes little tiny edits are a pain. Use the text mode instead. Text mode is designed to make code fast and easy. It also gives a lot of help to make your code error-free. Okay, here's my text. Okay, here's my block. Which do you guys like better? Some like the block, some like the text. Once you get used to this type of coding, you'll be able to go back and forth, and you'll probably like the text version anyway.
Easier to identify.
It is, especially when you're first starting out. Okay, so we're going to do 3 things here. Switch to text mode and try to type. Okay, so there's this little button that says click to expand. Okay, here's how you show blocks or show text over here on the right. You see that button? Okay, it goes back and forth. Okay, switch to text mode and type out a console log statement to display the value of score. Okay, so console. Notice how when you start typing console, it'll pop up. You can click on it. It'll automatically add your parentheses. Okay. And we want it to just be score because we want it to recall the value. Okay, the value of the score is 0. Okay. Typed it in wrong? That's one of the things when you're typing it in. When Mr. Nerone and I were working on our coding class, just a parenthesis or a quote, it can just mess up your whole code. That's what this debugging thing is really nice for. Okay, so then we're going to drag blocks into the text mode. Add code to create the lives. Okay, so our variable lives. So var lives equals 3. Now, when you're doing this, you have to make sure that you're adding your semicolon at the end.
What did you type for?
Variable lives. So it would be this one. You could pull this block over if you'd prefer to do the blocks.
Because I can't find it.
So if I want to do my variable lives, I could do that. Whoops, lives. Okay. And then you are going to give it a value. So what is your value of your lives? Okay. Just VAR for variable, space, then lives, then equals 3. and then variable console dot log. Console.log. I want to say the value of lives is after everyone. Mm-hmm. Are you okay? Oh, okay. There's the next one is one that we get to play in for a while. So let's try and get to that one.
Wait, mine, I don't think mine is working.
If you're having trouble, you could go to the blocks and just pull the blocks over instead.
I think I typed it in wrong because there are 2 triangles and 1 red square.
Okay. You know what another thing you could do? Version history.
What?
Do you see a version history button right here? Right beside the show text?
Oh. Version history.
You can click on that version history and you can go back or you could start over. And it only starts over on that one that you're on. Okay. How's everyone else doing? Looks like Jordan has it. You just need to type in lives and you should be good. So once you start over, go to show blocks. Click on show blocks so you have your blocks here. So you don't like the text mode, right? Okay. Okay, and then I'm going to bring over my variable for lives. Yeah. Until you get used to typing it in, you can go ahead and use the blocks. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's showing you at the top, but you'll be able to see it easier if you look at your screen instead of mine. Then it should bring you to the same thing. In the debug, the value of score is 0, the value of lives is 3. Okay, I am going to help Izzy. If you guys are ready to move on, we're going to go to the next one. And this is where we get to add arithmetic expressions. We can add, subtract, multiply, and divide. And you can see here where they have added blocks, variable add, subtract, multiply, and divide, and they've given them each one some code. So you can run it, see what it does, look up here in the things to try, and we will reconvene after I get Izzy back on track. Okay?